It's time for Class Racing Today, the podcast for the NHRA class racing fan. Thank you for tuning back in to Class Racing Today. It's been a while. I've been on the road for a couple weeks, and apparently I'm out of practice. Welcome back to the show. We're live on the Facebook, and we will be. This will be up on YouTube. We are in the works of getting a multi-distribution system set up. I have a call later today to make that happen. ClassRacingToday.com is the website. ClassRacingToday, gmail.com, Instagram, Class Racing Today, Facebook. If you're here live, we are on Facebook. Bobby and Brian, you guys did a great job the last live you did by yourselves and make me like, hey, I don't even need to be here. But how are you guys? What's going on?
I'm tired.
We're doing well. Sun is shining in New Jersey for once for me.
For
Brian
once?
and I, we did do that live feed last week. I think it worked out pretty well too. Brian, we did better than we thought we were going to. So, Craig, we have to have a meeting after this episode. I don't know.
I'm out.
Need you. What are we paying you again? We might have to cut that in half.
Exactly.
That was it is getting a little easier. It's amazing as you fumble through enough of these how it just starts to flow. But I don't know. I'm still tired from watching racing all weekend. I can't believe that race went so long. Like, I was glued to the TV. I was not productive at all. But man, what a great event that Butner put on down there. And that's why today we got Bohannon, who was live on location to fill us in on all the nitty gritty. So are you as tired as the rest of us are from watching, Tyler?
I am. I was probably one of the few that was pretty happy about Sunday being combined with Saturday, because the 10-hour ride home, along with the 4 days I'd already been there, was brutal. So it was nice to be able to drive home yesterday, but just an awesome event. I think it opened a lot of eyes to people, at home and that were at the racetrack, that maybe their buddy told them they had to attend, but they really weren't looking forward to it. And they got there, and just eye-opening. I mean, it was super awesome to see stock and super stock guys. They were like, oh, where can we stand and watch? Anywhere. We're like Brick Cummings, so we're all adults. We can figure out where we can and can't be. And we're spectators. Where can we go? Who can we go talk to? Everybody. So just super cool to be a part of it and kind of to see how it works. And it did even they had a couple of issues with the ladders and the qualifying sheets, but that's stuff you're gonna encounter as a promoter when you're trying to do stuff like that. So I think they did a very good job on the race. Every racer that I talked to was happy and looking forward to next week and trying to match what they did.
I definitely noticed on Motor Mania TV. I was watching it on the big screen sometimes, but I was on my computer, and it tells me on the computer how many people were actually tuning in. There were 1,900 people tuning in all day on Saturday when I was watching. So that was impressive to have that many people tuning in to stock and super stock. People love wheelies. People love performance. I think our classes are definitely, they would be fan favorites if more people knew about them. That's my belief.
All right, I got it.
And you're right, for sure. I got text from probably a dozen guys that I bracket race with that are like, okay, so I told you stock and super stock was stupid, but I've changed my mind. I need something to drive. So I think, and I think that 1,900 number, I don't know if I ever saw it under 1,500 or 1,600. I think throughout the whole weekend, they were right around that 2,000 viewers. And I know later in the day, obviously it goes up. They probably had closer to 3,000. So just a lot of guys that don't normally get to see this kind of stuff got to watch it. And I think it definitely opened their eyes. And I bet a lot of people checked out Racing Junk stock, super stock ads this weekend.
All right, so I want to interject quick because I see that we got Stan and Sheila Holt interjecting, saying that it was such a great race. And I kind of got beef with them because I haven't seen them on the sign-up sheet for your race, Tyler. So maybe they're signed up and it just hasn't been published yet. But after Bobby told me what great hosts they are, how awesome it was to hang out with them in the pits, I told my wife they bring margarita machines, and she goes, I want to meet that lady. She looks fun. And now I don't see him on the sheet yet. So come on, get signed up there. I'd love to meet you guys.
Yeah, I did not get to speak to Stan too much. He did beat me. He beat me in Friday's 20K, but I did not get to talk to him too much. I know my weekend's not the greatest for some people. I know he's not entered yet. That's not just an update I haven't given. But probably something I'll do is I'll get with them and see if it's something we're doing or if it's just a conflict of interest. I do know Jared Grenier, who drives part of that team, Lupe Tortilla. They Division 4 has a lot of races coming up kind of in a row around this time. So, they went to Gainesville, then they got Bo's race, and then they got to get back to D4 for some more races. And trying to make a trip to St. Louis is probably tough for them if I had to guess.
Well, they are fun people, and Stan he was driving great. I think that's what ended up putting you in the announcer's box, right?
Yeah,
Stan, which you did a phenomenal job announcing. Do you announce regularly, or was that your first time?
When I have bad days at my home track, when I'm at home, I like to go up there and do a little bit, and then some at my races. I enjoy it. It's fun for me. Randy Lynn, I got to do a little bit on Thursday while they weren't live with Joe, which was super cool. And then after I lost, Randy Lynn said, "Get back to the tower. You guys were doing good yesterday." So it's just fun for me. I get to call some runs, and I know that the way I do a lot of bracket racing when I do it, and it's a lot different than the NHRA stuff and the way Joe does it. And I thought we worked pretty well together, and it worked out. And he was speaking of Joe, he was definitely very surprised at the difference between races like this and the NHRA side too.
Well, Tyler, as smooth as you were, how terrible are you at racing? Because you must practice a lot, because you were really smooth. It was awesome to listen to you. You sounded like a professional. I think Joe was even scared he was going to be out of a job. So you should have spent more time practicing on the tree and less time practicing on the mic.
The racing this weekend for me was bad. I was telling my buddy Dylan, this was the first year that I've prepared for the beginning of a season like I did. I mean, I prepared so much. I was ready a month before. Usually, I mean, it's like, let's put this motor in this car. We got a race tomorrow. So just throw that in there. We'll go race and see what happens. And this year, like, I had everything ready 3 weeks before, and I was looking for a place to test. Everywhere around me flooded. Bowling Green, Ohio Valley, normal, they flood beginning of the year. And it just didn't work out, and we kind of went down there blind. And, it took me a few days to get the stuff lined out. So the last day we showed a little potential, made a little run, but up until that point, it was rough.
Well, congratulations on runner-up for best burnout. I don't know if you get a sticker or a star on your time slip or what, but that was a pretty good burnout, but you didn't quite have enough to hold off the Hemi car.
Did not. Yanis got us on that one. We did get him in best appearing though, so that we were chasing 2 awards, both of us. So he beat us on the burnout, but we got him back around on the best appearing, which is what my dad cared about. So he wins always.
I think it's not a coincidence that you did the best burnout with your dad's car and not your car. Maybe does he buy tires for both, or?
Actually, that's one of my deals now. I pay for tires on both of them, but he does pay for the engines in his cars, and I pay for the engines in mine. So valve springs are a little cheaper on his stuff.
Well, Giannis, so I believe $1,000 gift certificate from Mickey Thompson for best burnout, and
yeah,
you get a nice little prize for the best appearing car.
We did. Jimmy D and the California car covers. We got a car cover. And Classic Instruments, they also did a $500 gift certificate for that. And that's a cool thing about this race, especially. I know they're definitely going to have me beat on that. The thing you try to do best is even when you lose, you have something for those people. I mean, I don't know very many people at that race that went home with nothing between round money and, prizes and stuff like that. Obviously that's a big thing for us even with my bracket races. You want even the people who lose to go home happy and maybe with something in their hand, which they did a phenomenal job of for sure.
Yeah, I just kept hearing award after award. Best losing package. First person to go down the track got $100. Just random. That's what when I go to a race, it would be wonderful if I get that because, I need those consolation prizes to keep going strong.
Yep, and Bo did the $100 for the first person to the lanes for Wednesday and Thursday as well. So, you know,
Wow.
and
Yeah, that's pretty
as a
cool.
promoter, it's really worth the money because you'll sit up there for a half hour, cost you way more than $100 for people not wanting to come to the lane. So it was smart on his part and good for the racer.
So was there a clock or like a shot clock, or did they only have a certain amount of time to come back around, or was there nothing like that?
So I think that was another learning curve for them, and it will be for me because, you know, bracket racers, you can really turn them around in 10 minutes. You know, they can get back, you know, you got alternators and you got tranny coolers and stuff like that. And that was definitely a learning curve because they gave them 15 minutes in those later rounds. And I know me personally, getting off the end of the track, turning air bottles off, and I like to get out and take my jacket off. It was 8 minutes before I got back to the trailer. So that leaves you 6-7 minutes at your trailer to charge a battery or to cool it down a little bit. And you know, I know that's tough on those guys in the stock super stock world, especially. That was an issue with Marion and Long Henny's heads up, is that they were on that 15-minute clock trying to get back and run a heads up. So learning curve there, and I don't have the answer to it. I don't know the better option. Definitely going to have to give them some more time. It's just filling that time.
Well, by looking at your reaction times, I thought you were eating your giddy piggy grilled cheese in the car by looking at your reaction time.
It was brutal. I fought with it quite a Wednesday. I didn't fight with it, and then Friday I did, and finally Saturday I got really aggressive. I thought I ended up missing the tree that fourth round, but you know, Saturday I woke up and said, "Screw it, I'm going to get aggressive and try to make something happen," and it was better, but it was still not great.
Well, it just looked like
Packages, they were just killer. Everybody was killer. You know, that top 64, but the first three pairs that went down, I think had like 500 lights in it.
I was in there. Brenda Grubbs, I was 18 and had no chance. Brenda Grubbs was 009 and a few thou under. And I made a good run. I thought I was teen and took 100th at the stripe, and it really was just in her way. She should have told me to stay at the trailer because that saved me a run.
well, there was more 12 packs or better than there is at the average gas station. Like that was just crazy. Like how good the racing was.
It was awesome. And you know, people, I like to think that I'm the same way. You know, when you put pressure on the line like that, I've entered a few 64 car 50 granders, and it's a different atmosphere. It's, you know, it's not just like any other 50 grander, let alone what these guys do, you know, running for 1,200 or 2,000 or $5,000. It's a different atmosphere, put a little pressure on you. And you saw that a lot of them thrive in the pressure. And I don't know where I stand on that. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but you definitely, you know, Edmund Ellison, I was talking about him some Friday night. He thrives under pressure. He's one of the best when it comes to swapping feet, and his brother. And I think he was 00 first round, and Allison was 00 next to him. And, you know, he came out on the right end of a tight race there. And then when he lost, he was 00, and he just had some bad luck, and the ignition shut off when he took off. But, you know, people like that just seem to really thrive under pressure and made it happen.
Well, there was definitely a few hitters that really stood out. I mean, just consistently in both classes, just going rounds. Like it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. You know, you always watch those deals and don't really know. You know, I'm comparing a lot to bracket racing, but that's, you know, kind of where my comparison comes from with a deal like this. You know, your standouts always stand out, but it's hard for them to win that many rounds in a row without somebody getting some luck in there. But I feel like your hitters did stand out. You know, Aaron Allison is a well-decorated racer here in Division III, as well as all over, and he stood out there on Friday. And then Joel Warren, he probably, you know, the only reason that, you know, you don't see Joel every time you open the National Dragster is because he just doesn't get to race as much as some of these guys, but he showed that he has the talent to do so. Brick Cummings, obviously, as well, and Slate did good in the 40 grander later that night. And Joe Santangelo, I mean, he's one of the best to do this week in, week out, and proved it there late. And Michael Brand as well.
Yeah, Joe, I believe, had some troubles getting down to the track. I think I read that his motorhome had radiator issues, and they didn't get in till late night. They were supposed to test, and I think he got a chance to test from what I read, and he still came out and got the job done. I mean, he is definitely, he's up there as one of the best drivers to ever do this.
Oh yeah, hands down. I actually didn't know about he was parked just a couple trailers down from me, and I didn't know about his issues until I read about him, but that was pretty crazy. But first time I ever saw Joe Santangelo was in the Jegs All-Stars in 2010. My dad was in it too, and he won that year. And I got to talk to him a little bit. I was a young kid, but just that's my first recollection of him and just how good he was. And he's gotten better since then, and it's unreal.
So now we have a question on Facebook right now asking, was there any tech involved at this race? Were they checking for anything, checking for electronics, checking carburetors, doing anything that you would expect to be done to class cars?
So the tech process there, you go to registration, you got all your tech cards and stuff, you filled that out, and then you would hand your card to Dave Lay, who would double check your weight, cubic inch and horsepower ratings and stuff like that. But after that was kind of the end. We did scale cars. I scaled every run that you won, obviously. But that was the end of it for that process. I don't, personally, as a racer, I could 50 on that. It doesn't much matter to me. But I know that maybe one issue that people had was that, because they still want it to be as legit as the NHRA races. And that's one of the big things, those heads up runs and stuff like that. I was not a part of those heads up runs as far as seeing what happened. Maybe they did a little bit more in those. I don't know. But I do know that was maybe one of the complaints was just maybe could have had a little bit more when it came to the tech department.
Are you seeing your race run differently as far as that goes?
Yeah, and I don't think that this is something that I picked up from. I just, this was beforehand kind of, I've got 3 guys coming in to do that for me, and I do want to take that extra step. Not that they didn't, but just like Bobby was saying, carburetors and throttle bodies, maybe, pump a car here and there, just kind of keep everybody on their toes and know that we're going the extra mile to kind of make sure that this stuff is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, spot check. I'm a big fan of spot checks, and especially on return roads. But yeah, for sure, when it's a heads up, and or during qualifying, when people are trying to make, get on a ladder or during class eliminations, what have you, definitely I'm a fan of the spot checks.
Yeah.
If you're racing somebody that's not in your class, I really, I'm not as concerned about it.
Right. It's not as big a factor for sure. I mean, where I really saw it, I was at Topeka 2 seasons ago. I guess it's been that long ago. And, just they picked their 6 or 7 cars out at the end of the Q2 and rolled them over into the barn. And we're checking, just little stuff. They're not trying to throw you out, and that's where I'm at, with the comp eliminator stuff. At my race, I'd like to pump a car here and there, not to throw them out, but just to make sure that, their tech card's right with what they're giving me, and we're all on the same page. If I catch it wrong first day, I'm not going to tell you to pack your stuff and get out, but we're going to make sure that your tech card's right.
Well, and even I wonder, like I think there was another race somewhere else, but was it Vegas? Like how much tech actually happened there? Like I haven't heard much about it. So, even an NHRA race, there's not a lot of tech happening. So I think that's, as purists, we're like, oh, there's no tech, it's not legitimate, but there's not a lot at most of these races. So I just feel like it needs to be enforced across the board at every race.
Yeah, it's went away. NHRA, that's one of another downfalls that I think is happening quickly is I did notice at Gainesville, which I'd made a comment or two on social media about it in the past. It seems like every car that went 120 under, they tore down, which I don't read up on it enough to know if that's a decision they made and posted, but I do like it. That was something that I thought was a good idea. But as far as tech goes, there is none. I've filled out, I've been to 7 national events probably in the last 2 years, maybe 8, and there's nothing. I've never had, unless the guy that I hand my tech card to is smart enough to know that I'm semi-dumb when it comes to this stuff. I've been known to write the wrong factor on it or just in general do the wrong math on the weight. And unless the person that I'm handing it to knows more than me, it goes to the wayside and nobody figures it out. So, that's definitely stuff that's kind of pissed me off, I guess, in NHRA because there's nobody to check and make sure what's going down the racetrack is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I hear you. I wish we could make that process, or NHRA could make that process easier on its employees. A nice easy spreadsheet software program where they just can, I don't know, reference something real quick if they have to. They might already have that. I don't know. But for anybody that's listening to this that wasn't, following the Southern Sportsman Showdown on Friday, the Mickey Thompson $20,000 to win event, Aaron Allison took the win over Marion Stevenson. So Aaron Allison won super stock, Marion Stevenson won stock. They were separate until that final round, and then they squared off for $20K in the final round, where Aaron Allison got the win. He had a modified car over Marion Stevenson's Camaro. What's Marion Stevenson have? A 2015 Camaro, and Aaron Allison has, what does he have? A Grand Am or some kind of.
It's a Cavalier, but I don't know the year. Once you get in the 90s Cavaliers and Grand Ams, they get confused. But it is a Cavalier, and I don't know the exact year. But Marion's is that 15 B stock automatic Camaro.
B stock automatic Camaro. Okay, and then in Saturday's race, so it's supposed to be 20K on Friday, 20K on Saturday, 20K on Sunday. Sunday had a threat of rain, so they doubled up the purse on Saturday. $40,000 to win on Saturday. Joe Santangelo in his Camaro, GTK automatic Camaro, I believe, over Michael Brand in his Stalker Firebird.
I believe he was in
E-stock automatic, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I need to find. I always have my qualifying sheets, but I couldn't find a qualifying sheet for this unless I need to dig deeper. But Joe Santangelo took the win in super stock. Michael Brand took the win in stock, and then for the 40K, Joe Santangelo got the win. And then we had the Holly Top 64 Showdown. So this was $1,000 to enter. Did you enter this race, Tyler?
I did. I was in that. It was, it's something. It's hard to pass that up for sure. Not a good showing in that either as the rest of the weekend.
Right. Actually, yeah, you told, because I said literally the first three pairs that went down, there was a lot of double O lights, and you said you were in one of those first couple pairs. So for the $50,000 purse, Joel Warren took the win. He's got a super stock H automatic Pontiac Firebird. Looks like a stalker, and he took the win over Britt Cummins. And Britt Cummins had a Corvette, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the car he was driving?
Yep, he was in, I believe, a stock automatic in one of their two C5 Corvettes. Yep,
that's right. Okay, so, man, Joel Warren, don't party too hard, pal. I would assume there was some splits going on in all these races, and if there weren't, I feel really bad for the runner-ups.
No, they definitely did a bunch. I know Friday night they did. Ricky Pennington had two cars in there at 4, and they did a little bit at 4. And I believe Aaron still got a pretty good chunk. I believe 14 or 15,000 there on Friday. I was not a part of the split for Saturday. Not sure what they did there. I asked a few people here before we started, but I haven't. Let's see. I think runner-up. It looks like maybe runner-up got 15. Winner probably in that 25 range. Don't know that for sure. Just taking a wild guess at that.
Still a great payday. And then we also had a D7 Lucas Oil Divisional in Las Vegas. And there, I just want to give a couple results from there. It was kind of like the untalked about race this weekend. It was overshadowed for sure. But the number one qualifier was Steve Teeter in Stock Eliminator. He has an M stock automatic 70 Camaro. Must be some kind of 2-barrel car. He went 114 under. Mine shaft was missed by one car by 1,000th of a second. So they needed one car. The number 42 qualifier had to go 85 under. He went 84.9 under. So mine shaft was missed by 1 thou, which is pretty interesting because a couple cars went more than a second under and may trigger reviews. And then in super stock, Larry McClanahan had a factory super stock C Mustang, 16 Mustang. He went 105 under. And then the event winner in stock, I mean, you guessed it, Justin Lamb in his 2020 Camaro. And super stock, you probably guessed it also, Ryan McClanahan. I believe he's got a, super stock, A modified Cobalt or Cavalier or something of the sort. He won super stock. And then we had class runoffs for super stock, not stock, just super stock at this event. So I'm just going to quickly give everybody the winners in class. Super stock E automatic, we had Jack Bystrom in a 68 Camaro. Superstock F automatic, Tony Hughes in a 69 Mustang, 428. Gotta love it. Superstock G automatic, Rich Pinoski in a 67 Nova. Superstock J automatic. It says Dave Kelly beat Dave Kelly, so I don't know what that's all about, but I'm guessing Dave Kelly got the win in a 98 Firebird. Superstock K automatic, Randy Logue. The Logue or Loge, I don't know. Somebody can just tell me this one time. I'll never get it wrong again. It's a
I think
72
it's actually Logie, like Logie. I'm not for
Logie.
sure.
All right. Neither one of my guesses was right. So Randy Logie, 72 Demon. He got the win in Superstock K automatic. Superstock P automatic, Paul Wong. Man, he's got a lot of cars, that guy. He's got an 02 Firebird here. Paul Wong. Maybe that was like, what was that guy's name? Doolittle had that black Firebird at one time. Superstock P automatic. A modified was Ryan McClanahan. He got the class win in his 08 Cobalt. Okay, GTJ automatic, Phil Kakuza in his 08 Cobalt. That's a really nice car. GTK automatic, Len Schneider in the 84 Thunderbird. He got the win there. GTL automatic, Ken Eder and 93 Shadow. Wow, over Kayla Mazeris and her 93 Daytona. Factory Superstock B, Ray Martin in a 2014 Camaro. Factory Superstock D, Tim Seymour in a 2016 Camaro. The stick combo, the clutch guru, Rob Youngblood in his 76 Corvette. And the auto combo, Jim Grossi Jr. in a 95 Achieva. And combo factory stock was Tom Ferrugia in a 2013 Camaro. So congrats, ladies and gentlemen, on your class wins in Superstock. One last race we also had was an NMCA stock Superstock combo. Well, it was an NMCA race that was including a stock Superstock combo in Bradenton, Florida. And at that race, Mark Nowicki took the win over Larry Hill. Mark Nowicki's got a 98 Dodge Avenger over Larry Hill in the recognizable 1970 Barracuda. So that was the other racing going on this weekend.
I did find the qualifying sheets there for the Sportsman Showdown there in South Georgia, and I was just going to bring up the number one qualifiers there because they were pretty sporty. Jeff Neiswinger actually went 954 in Super J automatic with his Camaro, which that's 145 under. That's pretty sporty. They had 14 cars at a second under in Super Stock. Looking at stock here, Jeff Taylor went 155 under in that Challenger, and they had roughly 23 cars that were a second under there. So had like 4 cars that went 140 under. PB Candies was in the top 3 in both classes.
Wow,
Or the
letting it hang out.
Candies were. So just yeah, all the way.
That's one thing I enjoyed about it too, is we really got to see what the cars could do. You know, there was no, I'm sure there was still plenty of holding back, and there wasn't guys letting it all rip, but it was fun to see how fast some of those cars actually are. I mean, the weather was great, and it's better than anything we'll ever see, but I mean, wow, there were some guys out there honking.
Yeah, the weather was pretty incredible. It started out the weekend not, nothing 2,500 feet or something like that, but by the time Saturday morning qualifying rolled around, we were like negative 400 feet, and the correction was like 990 or something like that. So it was as sporty as you're going to find for anywhere in the country, especially this time of year.
So what's funny about that is he said nothing special, 2,500 feet, where that's probably the best air we ever run in here in the Dakotas.
That's pretty average, until July or August, where we see maybe 4,000 or 5,000 feet. But 2,500, 3,000 feet is about as bad as you're gonna see over here.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch. We actually had my grandfather turned 89 this past weekend, so we had a little get together for him at my dad's house, and I had the racing on the big screen. I had the Motor Mania TV on, and it was on the whole time. After we were kind of done with cake and ice cream and all that, people that don't even care about racing in my family, we were all just kind of gathered in the living room. We were watching it, and the wheelies alone were enough to everybody just kept saying, "Whoa!" Like they were so impressed by stock and super stock. I've been doing this for years, and half of them don't even know that that's the classes that I run. And it was so great to have that on TV. mean, even my grandmother was asking, what channel is this on? And I had to tell her, well, it's a Roku and it's the YouTube and Motor Mania TV. But it was nice to actually, I did my best this weekend. I brought in a little new audience for stock and super stock. So my work is
Yeah,
done.
and that's, you know, just the kids at the racetrack. Like, I was backing up from that burnout, and like, I mean, obviously there wasn't 10,000 people in the stands, but there was a bunch of kids, you know, kind of watching around, and they were just so pumped, and you could tell, that gave them a little bit of that drive towards maybe running stock and super stock. And some of those guys that were doing the big wheelies and Long Haney's run, even though it did not work out for him at all, the kids and the people watching online, I mean, that was viral. So, you know, like I said, I think it's a very good deal to try to gain some momentum for our sport, because, you know, I'm a third generation super stock racer, or second or third generation super stock racer, and anybody else my age, you know, Hayden Trumbull, who's a good D4 racer that's younger than me. His dad did it. I mean, you know, there's no like new young kids just coming up and saying, this is what I want to do. And nobody's, you know, my dad didn't do it. So I'm hoping that stuff like this, not only for the racers that are doing it now, getting what they deserve, but to drive some more kids and people in general to our sport.
Well, that was what I enjoyed about watching it too. There was no other classes. Like, it was all class cars. Like, there was some downtime that my ADD kicked in, and it was hard when you're sitting there watching, like, come on, let's just keep running. And it's hard to run basically 2 classes of cars and make a full show all day. Like, there's going to be downtime, and I can understand that. But I just enjoyed, like, I've never been to a national event. I don't really watch pro stock or funny cars. Like, I just want to watch class cars. So it was kind of just a pure class racing, and that's what I really enjoyed about watching it. And I think that it did expose a lot of people to what we're doing, and I think it really was great for the sport. And AHRA is still awesome, and I think that's kind of the backbone of everything, and that's where it's still going to come down to. But it was just fun to have another outlet to bring audience in and just revive what class racing is.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's where I'm at too. You know, I tell people I'm not trying to, definitely not trying to compete with NHRA, not trying to, you know, take class racing away from them or change class racing. I just want to bring it back to what it used to be and revive it. And, you know, maybe if NHRA pays attention, show them that this is what they need to be doing, you know, to keep, you know, we pay the bills, you know, that there's no entry fee, and, you know, obviously the sponsors for the pro classes, but, you know, we pay an entry fee to race and the pros don't. And that's a huge thing that, you know, I don't want to be thrown out in the ditch and told this is where I'm going to park, and then, you know, come tell me to come make my run, and then tell me, no, I can't make my run now. And then an hour later I'm making a run, and, you know, just all the stuff that NHRA really makes me mad about, or makes other people mad about. We are the ones, you know, paying to get in the gate. So definitely Jason Line had the great comment online that this is the kind of stuff where racers are celebrated and not tolerated. So I think people definitely saw that. I think it's definitely a good thing. The downtime is a struggle. You know, I think what we've done for next week to kind of avoid a lot of that, Wednesday's still going to be hard because it's your first day, but the consolation races that we're doing, the $5,000ers, the JEGS consolation races, they are, you know, they're going to be that filler time between rounds, hopefully late in the race on Thursday. So, you know, little stuff like that, which they'll learn, and everybody that tries to do this is going to learn, is, you know, there's ways to fill time and not stray from the class racing aspect. So, you know, I hope that maybe I definitely learned a lot from this race. I was glad to be a part of it. I learned a lot, not only as a promoter, but as a racer as well. So definitely looking forward to next week for ours and any in the future. I'm definitely a supporter of anybody that wants to try it. The one thing is that I don't think either one of the groups here, me and Brian, or Bo, Dave, and Jason, got the support that we hoped for, which I kind of want to make a comment about, but I'll probably wait until after next week. It is kind of astonishing to me that there's got to be 2,000, just call it 1,000 different stock super stock racers, and that if you take Orlando's race that Wes Buck did, Bo's race, and our race that we're doing, you can maybe come up with 210 different guys that are attending these deals, and that's hard for me to understand. So, you know, that's one thing that if people want to see this continue, they're going to have to supported a little better, and hopefully we do that in the future.
Do we know what the total numbers you have signed up already for your race are?
I have got a bunch in the last couple of days, so I was at like 150. Which, by the way, I got a call yesterday. So anybody that's watching on, this is guaranteed money. I know we've talked about it on here before, but I mean, if I get 150 cars, it's still paying 25 to win each race. Just like Bo's paid 20 a day each race, and he got 157 or 8. I think I'm probably closing in on 160. You're looking at, I know we're over 80 in super stock, and we're right close to 80. It's pretty even. A little less stockers entered, but we are gaining momentum after that race, which I expected a little bit. Not quite as big as I'd hoped of a push afterwards, but we'll see. But it's, like I said, that's just the hard part is there's so many people that want to change, but they don't take the opportunities when they're available.
Yeah, it's definitely. I thought there'd be more people too. I know the spring and the time frame of getting cars ready and the weather, but I will say, here in South Dakota where winter should last like 9 months, it's looking good. My grass is greening up. I mean, the roads are going to be dry. There's all the excuses why not to pull your car there, but I think what Mother Nature is getting rid of all those. So the people sitting on the fence that want to just watch online, just pull your stuff there and go race. It'll be more fun. You'll have a lot better time. Stop with the excuses.
Yeah, and I know that the Easter weekend thing for me, for my event's not great. I'm not, I know that that's not ideal. That there's definitely quite a few people who can't make that happen. But Bo's race, I keep going back to Bo, Dave, and Jason's race, Southern Sportsman Showdown. Currently, what they sent down the track around one Friday is what's entered in my race. So, yes, there is another 20 or 30 people that can't come because of the holiday, but those 20 or 30 people were already at the Sportsman Showdown, and I talked to them, and that's why they can't come. So, I've already got those people. They are supporting, but there's still 8, 9, 7, 8, 900 racers that aren't coming. And sure, call it half of those, don't do social media, don't see this stuff, and are diehard NHRA guys. But the other half are online complaining about it all the time, but just still don't do nothing. And it's so frustrating for me to understand that. That's just a little vent for the day. But yeah, it's just hard. It's hard to think that you can only muster up 200 people over the course of 3 races paying, $200,000 for stock, super stock. And, there's no other races. Obviously last week, Vegas had a D7 race. I'm the idiot that took Easter weekend, so there's not going to be anything there. But, Orlando, there was a divisional the week or 2 weeks before, maybe a month before, but right after that's the Gator Nationals. Now they had the baby Gators, which obviously hurts them, but they had like 20 cars. Now, Bo has a race last week, and NMCA still pulls 60. So the baby Gators is obviously going to hurt Orlando, but 20 cars is still ridiculous. And if there's 300 guys in Florida that race that stuff, and 125 of them show up, or 225 of them race that weekend, and only 20 of them go to a 10-grander. So it's hard for me. Just like I said, it's super frustrating to figure out.
Well, I know everybody's got lives and other stuff going on, and getting the schedules anymore. The older a person gets, especially like me with kids, there's 10 things to do every single weekend, and it's hard to prioritize which one you want to go to and which ones you don't. But it's I know I had a call last week. Hey, let's load the cars up and go to Georgia. And I'm like, nah, that's crazy. And I sat at home all weekend watching. I'm just like, why am I not there? Like, sorry, John, you were right. We should have loaded up and went because the weather was great. I have no excuse not to be there. Like, my car's not ready, but I could have run one of his. It would have been great. And I sat at home staring at the TV, just pissed off I didn't go the whole day. So don't make the same mistake I did. Get signed up, and we'll see you in St. Louis.
Yeah, and he texted me actually while I was announcing with Joe and sent me a bunch of pictures. He was working on his stuff, and he was wishing he was there too, for sure. So I believe we're talking about McLaughlin. But I did want to mention that we've added a couple of things for next week. A lot of guys were asking about test and tune. We made a post earlier in the week, but you might not have saw it. We are going to be testing on Tuesday. Race starts Wednesday. You can park on Tuesday you could do that already. So, but we're also going to test a 100 car to test on Tuesday, believe 12 to 6. I'll have to check my times, but I'm almost 100% on that. And with it not being full, so a couple things. If you haven't sent the remainder of your money, we're good. Okay. If you would rather send a check, go ahead, or pay online, that's fine. But at this point, we are going to allow people to show up. So entries at the gate are available. And if you only want to run one of the races, so maybe Easter is a problem, you want to come run the Wednesday, Thursday portion of the event, 375, you can run that. Or maybe work's the issue and you can only run the second race, 375, and you can run that event as well. So not what I wanted to do. It's never the option. You know, you want to be full when you get there, but it just didn't work out for this one. And maybe I mean, I'm hoping that I figure out some issues. You know, maybe somebody vents to me and tells me what's wrong with what we're doing, and we can learn from it and move on and maybe gain from that. So right now there's no answers to the problems. But yeah, so if you want to come run one of those races, it's 375, and then we are going to be testing on that Tuesday. And this is no shot at anybody, but I know a lot of people were asking about the downtime last weekend early in the day. That was just simply because this is new. They had to input all of the indexes for these classes and the racers and the computer system and stuff like that. And you know, like I said, class changes and whatnot, they were learning all that. And I was fortunate enough to kind of be in the tower and be a part of that and learn a little bit. But St. Louis has preloaded all of that for us. So hopefully it goes a lot smoother when it comes to that kind of stuff. So we won't have that early downtime making the day longer. But like I said, that's no shot at nobody. This is hard stuff to do when it comes to promoting, and that's issues you're going to run into, especially when you're the first one trying to do something like this. So yeah, that's some updates we got. Obviously we got some new sponsors as well. Holly came on board, going to be a part of the live feed, Liberty Gears also with that, and Legacy. Elite obviously doing the comp program. We're gaining interest with that. I believe we're definitely over that 20 car mark. That's going to be something super awesome. If you can see behind me here, we have a hood scoop laying over there. We've got us a comp car my uncle did, and he's going to come hang out and be a part of that. He's super pumped, as well as everybody that I've heard of from the comp side. The CIC program that we were going to do with 32 cars in each class, we've redid that. It's going to be 16 cars in each class. We will start with number one qualifier. It's going to be $150 and $2,500 to win. So we'll go down the list of qualifiers, and when we reach 16 people that are interested, we will. That's our field of cars. 16 stockers, 16 super stockers separated for $2,500 each, and we're not going to ladder it. How we're going to do it is a chip draw. So if you're that 16th guy worried about running, you know, obviously running a higher qualifier, maybe number 1 or number 8, depending on how you decide to do the ladder, it's going to be chip draw. So 1 race is 1, 2 races 2, all the way to 8. So something cool there to kind of spice it up a little bit for the lower qualified guys in that deal. Number 1 qualifier is still going to get a bonus for being number 1 qualifier, and he's still got who knows how much on the field, but for kind of that 15, 16 guy, it spices it up a little bit for him and makes it a little bit more enticing for the CIC program.
Well, there you have it. You're doing a lot to entice people to attend this race. So I wish I could come. I wish I had a car that was ready to come. And I know Brian's coming. Somebody asked if we were going to be on location. Yep, Brian's going to be there. He'll probably lose first round, so he'll be able to do a lot of interviews and get a lot of footage and do whatever you want him to do. Whoever was asking about that.
I plan on doing live from the winner's circle as they're handing me my check. So
I hope I am. I really do. I really hope I am. I know I've mentioned it every time I've been on here, but you guys have been a huge help to this deal. And I believe I know that St. Louis is as close to D5 as I can get and stay in my stomping grounds, but I've got as much D5 support as I do D3, which is another thing that bothers me, but that's okay. And I understand your problem, Bobby. It's, you know, when you plan on waiting until May to race, you know, normally, I mean, I know that my year starts a little earlier with the bracket cars, but I'm not going to have a motor back normally in a super stock car until late April. So it's hard to be ready for a race in March and April when your engine builder's got your motor and 35 others to do. That's tough. Cars are tough to get together. That's a part of it. But yeah, you guys have been a huge deal. That North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, I believe if you take those 3 states and combine them with like any other 3 states we have, they blow them out of the water. So I don't know what y'all did up there. Y'all must want to go racing, but we got a ton of you.
Well, it's cold here forever, so we're just excited to get out and make it somewhere. But there should be you should do a point series for the state that what goes the most rounds. They're the losing state buys supper or something. That'd be a good one.
That is a fantastic idea, and I'm going to make the executive decision that we are going to do some kind of battle of the states thing. That sounds awesome. I'm in for sure.
It was pretty cute because I had my 9-year-old, my 13-year-old, my wife were watching on, I think it was Saturday, and they're getting the check, and the kids on the line, and my 9-year-old goes, "Dad, what would you do if you won?" I said, "I'd probably cry." And he's like, "Dad, you're not going to cry on TV." I'm like, "No, honestly, I think if somebody handed me a check for that much money, going through that many rounds with that kind of drivers, I'm going to cry. So I'm just going to call it now. I don't want no hate mail when I'm winning and I'm freaking balling like a baby because I think that would be freaking awesome."
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, it's that feeling when you roll into the lanes for round 1, like I did last week. And normally, you can qualify and kind of avoid some of the hitters for a couple of rounds. There was none of that this weekend. So if you won last week like those guys did, or you win next week like you guys have a chance to, you beat the elite guys. You definitely got a good chance. If you did it, that you did it. And I hope that.
Yeah, it's I think just making it through round 1 was just a pretty awesome feat in itself. I mean, with the hitters that are there and the guys that have a lot of time and a lot of experience and some of the best equipment in the country, just to go first round is a huge accomplishment.
For sure. Like I said, when you rolling up for round 1, there was no avoiding anybody. Obviously the guys who won were there, but there was 60 other, there were 66 cars in super stock. 50 of them were known people who are known to win and know what they're doing. There wasn't a guy there that didn't think he could win that race.
Well, that's awesome. I just want to reach out and thank everybody that put together that race. And I know as a promoter, it's stressful and trying to get car counts. Like, I don't think people quite. I have no concept of what you guys actually went through for Bo and his team and Jason and everyone, and even you, Tyler. I don't think people realize what it takes to put on an event like this. And I just want to give you props for trying. I mean, we want more people to know about class racing and get more traction and what you guys are doing. And actually, I mean, it's one thing to talk about it, but to actually step up and put your butt on the line and take the risk and do it, hats off to you guys. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Well, I appreciate it as well as everybody here, and I'll show you if you could. This is the first throw up of race promoting. We'll have 6 more this week before it starts, but I want to, just like you say, give a hats off to Bo and Jason and Dave and Randy Lynn and Jennifer Folk and Tim Conley and everybody that was involved in that deal, because it's not easy. And what they did was awesome. I was happy to be a part of it and hope that they'll do it again so that I can, be a part of it.
All right, man. Well, best of luck to you. I was just wondering, though, quick before we let you go, what about, because the main objective, our point of this podcast was to try and bring new blood into stock and super stock and make people aware of it. But could these tracks do something? I noticed there was nobody in the stands at Bo's race right there. Can the tracks, can we do something like cheap spectators, free spectators, something like that? Maybe class eliminations to entice a couple more racers to come. A lot of prizes were given away last week. Maybe if they had a day where they ran class and gave prizes to class winners, that might entice some of the purists to come out and see if they can take their shot at that and win something there, as opposed to a lot of the purists don't like the fact that stock and super stock is basically an expensive bracket race. So I'm just trying to figure out ways in my little head right now to try and entice more participation at these events. And I'm really going to make a lot of enemies with this last one here. But I don't like stock and super stock racing against each other. That's just me. Like, I don't want to be in a stocker racing against a modified trans brake air shifted super stocker. That's just, I don't know. I've never been a fan of that, but I get it. I get why that has to happen, and for the sake of participation. But those are just a couple ideas that I just wanted to throw out there. If if anybody agrees or disagrees with me.
Yeah, and as far as running them together, I would love to figure out the best way to maybe not do that, because I know there's a lot of guys like you. I don't think, even as a super stock guy, the modified guys, they don't want to run a slow car. When I'm in a dragster, I don't want to run a door car because it's just as hard for me to drive it going fast as it is for them going slow. Class eliminations would definitely help participation. It's hard to figure out. I think for this first one, I think I could definitely figure it out for the next one. Now that I've gotten dove in a little bit, I think it's definitely a possibility in the future. It would definitely help participation. As far as what tracks could do to get people in the stands, I think that's what NHRA is always going to be able to do, is spend the money on advertising to make it happen. And the promoter like me just can't do it. And you're doing it at big facilities. So, my little home track here at Ohio Valley, I don't have to put anything out there. I might go put out a couple, free spectator, I'll make a stack of 500 free spectator little cards and put them at the hardware store or put them at the White Castle or whatever. And, I'll have 1,000 spectators at this little track camping with their RVs or whatever. But when you're doing it at a big facility in a big city like St. Louis or, South Georgia is just so, I don't even know the word for it, but it'd be hard for them too in that location. I don't live there. Maybe is the problem. I can't go out to those kind of places and make it happen like I can here in Louisville. So there's definitely ways to do it. It's just it's always going to be a money thing when it comes to advertising and putting spectators in the stands.
Awesome. Well, like I said, thanks for coming on. Thanks for everything you've done. It was awesome, and I think we can learn from what Bo did. Like, they had a great show. You're going to have a great show, and I think everybody's going to be able to refine it and improve on it. There's a lot of people who are going to have opinions and criticisms, but just like I said, once again, hats off to you guys for putting your butt on the line and hanging it out there and getting it done. And I look forward to being out there. Anybody that's coming out to the race, look me up. It'd be fun to meet you guys. Like I said, hopefully I'm going rounds, so I won't be doing a lot of interviewing, but if somebody wants to help out, since I can't get Bobby to come over there, I guess hit us up. Let us know what you want to hear, and if you're there and you want to help out, let me know.
All hope is not lost. I'm still looking for a flight from Philly to St. Louis if something pops up.
We just need a sponsor with a jet that can swing by and pick us up and drop us
extra
off.
nice to my fiance. Two more announcements, though. Atlanta Dragway is going to host their final national event ever this year. It's the 40th anniversary, so that does not sound good. Sounds like that track is probably going to close at the end of the year. And limited fans at the ZMAX 4 wide. I read that today. So if anybody was planning on going there, I don't know what limited fans means. I haven't seen an actual number or percentage of what the facility's capacity is. And I hope, I hope they get the max turnout for what they're allowed.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, thank you guys for having me on. You definitely helped me with this deal, get it out to the racers, and looking forward to it. And I guess we're 7 days away from finding out. So can't wait to get it all started.
All right, Tyler, good luck. We're pulling for you. Have a great race. Have great weather. Good competition. Nice big wheelies. Oh, one last thing. It's probably been mentioned a million times. Is it streaming live?
Yep. We'll be streaming Motor Mania TV, and that's, I will tell you, that's sponsored by Craig Liberty, Liberty's Gears, Holly, and Legacy Heating and Air. So appreciate those guys. But yes, Motor Mania TV will be on site from Wednesday until the end of the event.
All right, there you have it. So Motor Mania TV, again, hopefully get a nice crowd on there of 2,000 streamers and an even larger crowd at the track and a nice crowd of racers participating at the event. So this is Class Racing Today, classracingtoday.com. Check us out on Facebook, Class Racing Today, on YouTube, Class Racing Today, Instagram, Class Racing Today. Everywhere, Class Racing Today. It's really not that hard. Just type that in. All right, Craig, you're the man. You still there? Take us away.
This is Class Racing Today. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget, classracingtoday.com. Bobby just mentioned it. Email questions, comments, or you want to help sponsor the show and make it better. Gmail, classracingtoday@gmail.com is the email address to do that. Thanks so much for listening. Tyler, thanks a lot. Good luck next weekend. I guess week and a half. Brian, hopefully you can get there and represent a little bit. If you guys are out and you want to say hi, he will be around the track, so check it out, talk to him, run up, give him some treats. One thing he likes is red cinnamon bears. So thanks a lot, you guys. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.